fun, sarcasm, and small-town scoop. It's hotter than a jalapeno on a dashboard out here, and we're keeping it cool with stories that matter, laughs that last, and co-hosts who run at 2 a.m. just to beat the Texas heat.
It's true.
That's right. That's Steve Mallett.
I just said that the other day. If you're running after 6 a.m., you've run too late in the day.
Does it get hotter at that time, too?
No, it gets hotter from there on out. I'm usually done by about 6 o'clock, 6:15. So, it's been cooking, and it's going to get worse. So, got to thank our sponsors.
We do need to thank our sponsors, Jovi Belterra.
I was going to say, Jovi Belterra, I got their calendar. These are some of the events they have. If you're 55 plus and you want to live in a wonderful community, they have Poker Night on Wednesdays. On the 29th of this month, they got Sunday Fun Day. They have Sip and Paint this Friday. Aquafit on Thursday. Senior Strength every other Thursday. There's some cool stuff going on there. Oh, look at Michelle. She's flexing. Okay. And
South Star Bank.
South Star Bank. Speaking of running, I was running in Austin the other day. Ran by 2 different South Star Bank locations. And I thought to myself, man, they are everywhere.
Well, look at that. And then we also have Mallett Integrity Team Real Estate.
Because we couldn't do it without them. And
we are thrilled. You ready? You want to put this over there in our little camera? We are thrilled to welcome Deep Eddy Vodka as our new sponsor of Mallett and Michelle on Dripping Springs. Founded in Austin in 2010, Deep Eddy Vodka draws its name from the historic Deep Eddy Pool, Texas' oldest swimming pool, known for its laid-back vibes and cool waters, crafted with real ingredients and a splash of Texas spirit. Deep Eddy brings the essence of our hometown to every bottle. Whether you're enjoying a sunny afternoon or a relaxing evening, Deep Eddy Vodka is a perfect companion. Thank you so much, Deep Eddy. Estachio, Deep Eddy Tasting Room. We are so thrilled.
I am thrilled to be partnered with them right now.
Very excited.
Yeah, great organization, really plugged into the community. It's a wonderful place for you to go with your family on the weekends, and food trailers, and you can have a drink, you can have a mocktail. Yeah, it's cool. I'm really glad they
have lots of events. You know, I think I talked about this like 2 years ago or maybe a year ago, but Estachio, he was hosting these movie nights, and I said, if you host a movie night with Steel Magnolias, I will have all of my crew there. And I think 20 of us showed up.
I think that's true.
We had the best time.
And you did. You had a great time. I heard about it for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, we had a really, really good time. But so thank you again, Deep Eddy. We are thrilled to. Now, we've been hinting for a while now, and you and I just did our commercials. Yep,
and we just inked the deal with them. So it's done, and we are super excited. I was reminded the other day, if you want to follow our podcast, not everybody knows where to access it. You can go to our website. If you go to Mallett and Michelle on ds.com, there's a little tab at the top, and it says follow. And if you click on that, you can get right to Apple. You can get right to Spotify. Bunch of other places you can listen to it right from our website.
Also, you can judge me on YouTube on my camera abilities, because when I just hit the camera, it was blank.
I think she messed it up again.
No, it was like the camera. So now it's on both you and I. So just fast forward 5 seconds and you'll see you and I. But if you want to see what we actually look like, you don't want to see that.
Especially me.
Go to YouTube.
I've got a couple of quick things. I wanted to talk briefly about that storm that we had a week or so ago.
The microburst?
Yeah, it was May 29th, and you were in Austin, I think.
I was downtown. I was at Seaholm, and it happened 2 blocks away from me.
Yeah, well, it was huge, right? They had golf ball size hail. They had 9 water rescues downtown, people that got stuck in floodwaters. 1 person was swept away and died. Yeah. They estimated that the winds were Hurricane Force 1 winds.
It was like 85 mile per hour, right?
85 miles
You know what was weird? When I walked out of Trader Joe's, I looked up at the sky, because I literally parked right in front of Trader Joe's, and I looked up and I was like, wow, that looks like a really weird sky, like really strange. And it was kind of behind me, and I got in my car and I drove towards Drip, and not a drop of rain.
We didn't get anything.
I didn't know anything had happened behind me.
Yeah, they got 2 to 3 inches of rain, depending on where they measured it downtown. 60,000 people without electricity for a couple days.
Our photographer as well.
Yeah,
3
there
days.
are still people now a week or so later without power in Austin because over 100 power poles were knocked down in the city of Austin.
Trevor told me yesterday, I asked him how long, he said 3 days, and he goes, we saw the transformer blow, we saw the electric company out there, and all of the neighbors were out there, and they did like their beep, bop, boop, and they plugged it in, and he looked back, and he says, him and 2 other houses were dark, because we were on another grid, and they were driving off, and we're like, wait,
turn us back on. Well, I want to remind our listeners that old saying, turn around, don't drown, is really true. Apparently this person that was swept away did not heed that warning. Over 127 people a year die in flash floods in this country.
Where were they?
They were up north. They went through an underpass somewhere and got swept away. So, yeah, you can't be too careful. Other thing I wanted to let everybody know, I met with the Friedmans this morning, who head up the Dripping Springs Art League.
Yes.
They are going to announce in a week or so that they're doing a collaboration with Time and Dough right there on Mercer.
Nice.
And they're going to have the Dripping Springs Art League gallery, official gallery, inside Time and Dough starting in August.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah,
well,
local
good for
artists,
Fabian.
She really supports them a lot. So local artists will have their stuff down there for viewing and for sale starting sometime in August.
That is
Very
great.
cool.
I know they also get a lot of visitors that come in and out of there, just people that aren't even dripping. So maybe a lot of our local artists will get spread across the country.
I think it's been great that we've been the wedding capital of Texas, but we need to diversify a little bit and becoming an
podcaster capital of Texas.
The podcasting capital of Dripping Springs is right here in Dripping Springs. But Wimberley has a little bit of an art following. People go down there for art. Fredericksburg has some. Dripping, we've got to have more than just the wedding venues, and being a destination for art would be really good for our community across the board.
I think that's a great idea. Oh, who's our guest today?
Oh, Dusty Drake, Dynamo Dusty Tree Services, is coming on. He's super interesting guy.
Dynamo Dusty. I'm glad you said tree service because it sounded like we were having a stripper on. We got Dynamo Dusty on stage 3. Way to go, Dusty.
He's a cool guy. Graduate of West Point.
Oh, super cool.
Yeah, has had a really interesting journey in his life. Now he's a shaman and owns this tree service, and he's going to come in and tell us about his life, and it sounds like all the twists and turns that he's had along the way.
Yeah, it was. It's pretty interesting. I'm excited. That's why you and I walked around the building so we could meditate.
Get our little meditate in, a little bit of peace.
Well, our Texas lawmakers, good old Texas lawmakers, they just finished their 140-day legislative session that they had, and I have a couple of highlights that are going to interest you. Well, we talked about it earlier, the school vouchers, that thing passed. I wasn't a fan of that. That passed. This is probably on a lot of people's mind right now, a ban approved concerning products containing concerning THC. I'm telling you, if Governor Abbott does not veto this bill, Governor,
has he indicated that he will?
He has stayed silent on this, but Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, you can kiss your governorship hopes, if you had any of them, goodbye. But basically what it is, it's hemp retailers and recreational users will only be allowed now to sell and consume non-intoxicating cannabinoids like CBD and CBG. This is, what's the confusing part is, it's 6 years after they approved it. So they approved it 6 years ago, and now they're taking away. The veteran groups and the hemp industry leaders are calling for Abbott to veto this bill. I actually emailed Governor Abbott, and I'm a big proponent of things that help veterans and disabled people, and it was super easy. You just send an email to Governor Abbott, and I told him I've donated, I've met you, and I'm a mother of a veteran, so he's not going to listen to me. But anyways.
You know what? I bet if he gets enough emails, he will.
I would hope so. But the big winner in all of this is Big Pharma.
Yeah,
that's the big winner.
And that's who was pumping the money into it, I'm sure.
Well, and the proponents, they sold this bill promising this planned expansion of a limited medical marijuana program. So it's like, pass this, and then we're gonna eventually we'll pass this, which is crap. So,
and then they will sell that. They will produce and sell that stuff as, what do you call it, pharmacological products.
Pharmacological?
Yes, but then they'll be, they'll charge, instead of charging whatever it is, $30 for a dose, they'll charge $300 for a dose, and you have to get it approved by your insurance.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. I mean, there's like exemptions and, Crohn's and MS and all this other stuff.
I know there's plenty of people that have gotten really good results from taking CBD products.
I do as well, and I think they should treat it like alcohol. Over 21, I mean, alcohol shows far-reaching more issues than the THC does. But some people are still old school, and we're a Bible Belt, and say that it's a gateway drug, and so whatever.
Which cracks me up. I mean, alcohol does way more damage to people than
I know. It's crazy. But so some of the other ones that were passing or waiting to pass, stricter bail laws. It allows judges to deny bail for certain violent crimes like rape and attacks and things. The Texas Lottery, they can no longer buy tickets online through apps. We had talked about that woman that had won. So the water infrastructure bill, I don't know if you heard about this, but a deal was reached dedicating $1 billion over the course of the next 20 years to fixing the state's fragile water infrastructure and boosting the water supply. I'm sorry, but we have the Gulf of America. Yes, I said it. We have the Gulf of America, and I don't know why we can't figure out how to turn salt water.
Apparently, it can be done, but right now it's so expensive to do it. It's not cost effective.
So I don't understand. I mean, $1 billion. You can't tell me that it's not going to.
I think for them to come up with a solution to turn salt water into fresh water would cost $1 trillion. In any kind of volume that would make a difference with what we're dealing with.
Maybe. I don't know. But that was my take. That's stupid. Religion in school. I don't know how I feel about this one. I'm a Christian. I believe that we should have freedom of religion in our schools. Every public school must now display the 10 Commandments in a visible place. It builds on the In God We Trust that was passed a couple of years ago. There's a bunch of civil rights groups that have threatened to sue the state if passed. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled it unconstitutional when Louisiana tried to do it, so this probably won't stand. But I don't really know how I feel about this one.
Yeah, I think where that's coming from is that we went from not having religion promoted in school, which I don't think we should, to being, in some cases, anti-religion. Like across the board.
Yeah,
and
I can agree with that.
And whether you're a Christian or not, there's really nothing in the 10 Commandments that most reasonable people would argue with, as far as I know.
I know, but I just don't know having it mandated. But that's that's neither here nor there, in my opinion. But Texas now strictly defines men and women based on their reproductive organs. Mm-hmm. Some of in the community fear, that their driver's license and their birth certificates that were changed or amended will, will be affected, and also the bathroom usage. So there's also another caveat to that. If insurance companies pay for transitions, they should also pay for the detransitioning as well. Okay. So that was passed. On the abortion bill, we have one of the strongest abortion bills in the country. It passed a narrow clarification of the state's abortion ban. It allows doctors more legal protection while performing medically necessary abortions, even when death is not imminent. Also, no state funding for out-of-state abortion travel. So that was passed.
I think that was there was a gray area that needed clarification. So that was just a clarification issue on that.
A lot of these are also on Abbott's desk. So see, he still has to sign them. So some of them he can still veto or whatnot. This is very important for us. Property taxes. In regards to property taxes, they raised our homestead exemption from $100,000 to $140,000. with larger breaks for senior citizens and people with disabilities as well. And then there's a business owner property tax, and it's an exemption up to $125,000 of business inventory. I'm not an accountant. I don't pretend to play one.
Pay tax on if you carry a lot of inventory, you pay tax on it.
So that one is supposed to come up for, if that one passes, it's going to come up for the November election. So
I'll
we'll
use
be able to
one
vote
of your
for that.
favorite sayings. Riddle me this, Batman.
Yeah.
How come they gave us the increased homestead exemption, and now they've increased it again, and my property taxes have gone up every single freaking year?
Because
it's a bait and switch.
They're
not lowering our property taxes.
No, they're not.
We're not getting lower property taxes.
Nope.
It's not happening.
Nope, they're not. This one is very important. I know a lot of people have been interested in this, especially what's been going up in the North Dallas area. They have put property ownership restrictions on foreign entities, so China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia can no longer buy property in Texas. I don't know.
At all?
I guess at all. I don't know really what that means on existing property they already own, so I didn't really deep dive into that one.
Is it government scam?
It said foreign entities, and so I was wondering the same thing, like if you were a citizen or a dual citizen, are you still able? I don't understand. So maybe you could do a little deep dive on that one
see if I can find out some more stuff.
But House Bill 2013, I have nicknamed this one the Chicken Bill. Okay, so the Chicken Bill.
I want to hear about this one.
This now prohibits HOAs from banning or restricting chickens as long as the municipal ordinance allows it. It didn't say anything about roosters.
Oh, I got you.
Nothing but just chickens.
So if the city that you're in, say the city of Dripping Springs, allows you to have backyard chickens, there can't be an HOA that says no.
Belterra can no longer say you can't have chickens. You can have chickens. There may be a clarification.
They're not in the city limits.
They're in the ETJ.
That may be different.
I don't know because it's under HOA. I mean, there's some clarifications.
Let me tell you, if you live in Belterra and you have a rooster, you're an asshole.
You are an asshole for sure. But also, this was interesting to me. Also, it's going to prevent HOAs from restricting composting, rainwater systems. I'm going to butcher this wrong. It's efficient irrigation, but it's not. How do you say it? Efficient, like reuse water.
Okay. I'm not
whatever
sure
that is. And drought-resistant landscaping, xeriscaping. They can't tell you can't. And so all of that is supposed to go. That was passed. All of that is supposed to go enacted September 1st. Yeah. So there's a lot that they did. There was things that they didn't do that they promised. But
the chicken one's interesting to me. It's going to be funny how to see that play out. I could see, because not everybody takes good care of their animals, and chickens, if they are not cleaned on a regular basis and taken care of, are really they're smelly. Bad. They are very smelly. Like Holly cleans her coop out like once every week or 10 days, if not more. It's going to be interesting.
They are smelly. You know, these are the things that have actually passed. They've already been signed.
Need to be signed into law.
Nope, they've already been signed into law. This one was signed in May 3rd. This one is very interesting to me, just having a granddaughter. This is Senate Bill 2. This bill created an education saving account program to allow Texas parents to use taxpayer dollars. Oh, wait, that was the school voucher one. Sorry. Okay. There's one that's also like a savings account. Sorry, I was getting that one confused with something else. This is Senate Bill 5. This bill allocates $3 billion towards creating the Dementia Prevention and Research Institute of Texas to study dementia, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's, and other brain conditions. The funding mechanism for House Bill 5 is through Senate Joint Resolution 3, so which I think that is great. Here's the other one. We talked about the bail restriction. That one was already passed. This one is Joint Resolution 5. This measure represents a proposed change to the Texas Constitution and will appear on the November ballot for voters to consider. If approved, judges will no longer be allowed, this is the expansion of the bail one, to grant bail for violent crimes for murder and rape, which maybe that's great. And then the other one, the Senate Bill 326, this bill would require schools to use common but controversial definitions of anti-Semitism in school disciplinary proceedings. The legislature is in response to a pro-Palestine protest, including those at the University of Texas. So they're putting restrictions on that. You know, given what just happened in Boulder, Colorado,
People need to step back a little bit. There's some crazy stuff going on in this country.
There is some crazy stuff.
There are some people in leadership at powerful positions that are saying some very irresponsible things that are getting these people to act in ways that are harming, killing people, and that needs to stop.
Absolutely. Have you also heard of the Death Star law?
Mm-mm.
Have you heard of that one? This is overriding any city ordinances. It's House Bill 2127, also known as the Death Star law. It prevents cities and counties from enacting local laws stricter than state law. That reminds me of the COVID restrictions that were going on. And so
smart.
this is
so
probably
that's
and
good.
There's also things about
not that the city of Austin could care
no
even a little bit.
No, they couldn't care, but there are also laws out there. I didn't go into them about the power grid issues, combating fentanyl, sexually explicit performances for in the presence of children, compassionate use law, which is the expansion of the medical marijuana law, and then DEI and so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things that are going on. There's a lot of moving parts. There's it's interesting.
I have another moving part, kind of piggybacking onto what you've been talking about. The education department this month announced that June is officially Title IX month in the United States of America.
Really?
Yeah. So they just announced it. And do you know much about Title IX?
It's the women.
It's most people think it's just women and sports, but it actually covers 10 different key areas addressed by the law. It starts out with, no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. So this was passed in 1972, was Title IX. It changed women's sports the most because prior to this, most girls in school weren't even allowed to play sports. Did you know that?
I didn't.
If you were in...
I would be okay with that if I didn't have to dress out for PE.
Well,
for me!
Yeah, right.
Please restrict me.
A lot of schools thought that girls were incapable of performing sports or doing sports. They encouraged them to do things like home ec and...
typing class?
Yeah. What was the other? Square dancing. Do you remember square dancing was kind of a thing?
Not once have I ever had to use square dancing in my adult life.
Yeah. So this goes way back a little bit before Title IX, but there were people that warned women that were physically active were not only unfeminine, but it was proof of lesbianism. There's some crazy things that were done.
Bunch of whores.
Other people claimed that sports would hurt reproductive organs as well as a woman's chances of marriage. So I think it's really cool that the United States is celebrating Title IX month in the United States now. It's you've come a long way, baby. You remember that old saying.
Yeah.
Things have. Women are finally getting the respect in most cases that they deserve.
Hey, progress, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't know better, you do better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to know better to do better, and I think that's just all what we want. If you don't learn about the past, then you are just most destined to repeat it. And I think I have a granddaughter and I have a daughter, and if she wants to play soccer, God help her.
Yeah. Women are...
Pick an indoor sport,
yeah.
maybe.
One where there's air conditioning. Yeah,
pick an indoor
soccer. I found, when I was going through this story, I found some other things. In the United States, until 1923, it was illegal for women to wear pants.
That was 102 years ago.
Yes. So 102 years ago, it would have been illegal for you to come to work in pants. Up until 1993, female senators, so a woman could become a senator, but she couldn't wear pants on the Senate floor.
Do you know
until
that
1993?
My first office job, I worked at a big accounting firm, and I was the front receptionist.
Yeah.
And I got in trouble. Okay, what year was this? 93, 94?
Well, there you go.
I got in trouble for coming to work one day without wearing pantyhose.
Oh God!
I literally got written up for not wearing pantyhose.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then we moved to Austin, and nobody was wearing pantyhose,
Yeah.
and everybody's wearing flip flops.
It's because it's 106 degrees in the
San
summer.
Antonio is the same
Yeah,
thing, but
yeah.
that was crazy.
Well, in the United States, we did better than Paris because up until 2013 in Paris, you had to have permission from the city to wear pants.
They don't shave their armpits there either,
No.
so
Maybe that's why. They're like, well, you don't shave your legs, you can't wear pants. Well, that doesn't make sense.
If I wear pants to work the other day, I'm gonna contact Mayor Bill and I'm gonna ask him to write me a permission slip to wear
permission
pants.
to wear pants.
Please.
Yeah.
Well, let's get our lovely guest Dustin on here. Dusty Drake.
Dusty
Drake. Sorry, Dusty Drake.
Dynamo Dusty.
Sorry, Dusty. Sorry, I called you a stripper.
It is a great name.
It is a great name. It's a great name.
Yeah. Well, let's take a little break and get Dusty in here. So hang on, sit tight. We'll be right back. Thank you, everybody.